One of the biggest areas I really found myself struggling with self-improvement was actually getting my mental health to a stable level. I was in a really terrible place in my life when I started this on back in August last year. I was essentially living homeless. I was living a terrible life, just an absolute animal. One of the main things I'd recommend to anyone, even if you're not a self-improvement, even if you're just looking to become a decently fine person, but if you're here, you're obviously here for self-improvement, is meditation. Now, it's not a cure, and there are certainly some people with certain disorders that, meditation isn't going to work for you. And the thing is, not everyone can meditate, because meditation isn't TikTok, meditation isn't YouTube, meditation isn't drinking coffee or playing video games or going shopping or anything else in the entire world. Meditation is so different from anything else, really. It's an utterly unique experience that every human I should have the privilege to at least try once. It won't work for everyone though. I can only say what's worked for me, but the results I've gotten from it are phenomenal. To try and explain the science of meditation in the most sort of basic terms that I understand it, essentially what meditation does, it silences the constant chatter, or aims to at the very least, silence the constant chatter of your mind, essentially. We live with these thoughts in our mind, these stresses and fears, because we were evolved 2.5 million years ago, living on the savannah, living as, animals that were essentially subject to prey and other threats. Our ancestors, who are more paranoid, more aware, more constantly thinking and planning and strategizing, live longer. So the genes for those sort of traits obviously propagated. And those ancestors who might be more relaxed and chilled out and, easygoing, they eventually died because they weren't aware to deal with the threats. The thing is, though, we're here now in the 21st century with this same monkey mind that's built to deal with threats like running animals or forest fires or other kind of natural disasters or incidences, or fights or warfare, but we don't live with these kind of same stresses or impacts. Our impacts are email from our boss, our impacts are, just random different things. The price of Bitcoin going down, for example, like getting in traffic jams, things like this that people have like absurdly inordinate emotional reactions to when they're not an input that requires a fight or flight response. Meditation, in a way, tones the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve essentially is that sort of nerve column that goes from your brain into your stomach, and it tones the kind of fiber in there, essentially, or the insulation there. So essentially, you're able to better get into your parasympathetic nervous system rather than relying on your sympathetic nervous system, which is the area that governs with the fight or flight response. It's like your gut reaction, When something happens, you instantly get into that. Meditation, what it does, though, it trains your brain, it trains your mind, it allows you to build grey matter in your brain as well, and also helps with memory, as well as I think generally lowering stress levels and also preventing cognitive decline as well. I think they've done studies in Oxford, for example, where they had monks sit next to a machine that simulated the shooting of a bullet by the air, and they didn't even see a jump in the heart rate. You can learn super phenomenal things in meditation, and at the risk of sounding a bit crazy, I do think meditation is the kind of thing that's going to take the whole of the human race that next evolution upwards. We had the hunter-gatherers, we had the agrarian age, we had the industrial age, now we've got the internet, and I think the next stage after that we have to evolve our consciousness, because everything else has changed around us but our bodies, and only now working out with epigenetics and other kinds of other kinds of technologies as well. There's a lot we can do to change the bodies. I think there's very much. I'll link it below. There's a great podcast about peak mind, about how neuroscience and meditation is catching up to one another, and there's really exciting stuff being done about how powerful and skillful it is. But all the scientific reasoning and logic aside, you ask me, why should I meditate? Why should I set aside this time? Ultimately, you're gonna feel better. It's gonna feel like crap in the beginning because you're gonna feel like you're not doing right. You're not gonna reach some magical place of bliss. You're not gonna reach some kind of like instant nirvana. That's not the point. The point of it is just to train your mind to just be able to detach from your thoughts and feelings. The thing is, you are going to think thoughts in your head in the same way your heart is always going to pump blood. There's like one and the same, you can't control it. And in a very real sense, as though it sounds very strange, we're so obsessed and caught up with the thoughts, and we're living in our thoughts, we're living in the past and the future. Thoughts have nothing to do with you. There's a great quote I love that I keep to this day in my mind. Whenever I get caught with my thoughts, when I start panicking about this thing or that thing, or does this person like me, or where am I going with this, or where's my life going, thoughts are simply like a bone. The analogy is thoughts like a bone that has no meat in it. A dog starts chewing on that bone and realizes, there's nothing on this bone. It's empty. It's completely and utterly devoid of any satisfaction. You can play over the same thought 1,000 times in the head. It could be the worst day of your life. You could be imagining the worst thing ever, or it could be the best thing. You could be imagining the most amazing, fantastical scenario. I don't know. I think visualization is a powerful tool, but I think kept within its own place and time frame, visualization can be a powerful tool. But daydreaming, for example, that isn't always the most productive or useful thing, and it can also, derail us as well when trying to be more efficient. So being able to regulate our mindset to put it into this current moment is a very powerful tool. So very simply, very, very simply, if you want to start meditating, I recommend sitting for 5 minutes, even sit for 1 minute, even sit for 30 seconds if that 5 minutes is too long for you. Just, you don't have to do any fancy poses, no fancy hand gestures or mudras or anything like that. Just find a place, sit erect, but not too stiff or upright, but neither too slouched either. Like a meditation teacher, I like prefaces as, sitting like a proud emperor before your people, just with your heart area just erect, just closing your eyes and simply following the inhalation and the exhalation. Inhale and exhale. And all you have to do is just notice that breath going in and out through your nose. And what I like to do is I count 1 inhale, 1 exhale, and I count that as 1, and I go all the way up from that up to 10, so I go to the 10th, inhale, and exhale, and then you're back to 1 again. And I've been doing this for about 14 years. Preface though, for most of the time I have been meditating on my own, and I do think there is some kind of a benefit of meditating in a group as well. I do think when people come together to meditate, if you can meditate in person, or my Discord server as well, where we'll have meditation sessions when I get that up and running. So I want people to come together, meditate and sit together, because there is a very interesting kind of energy you get there. I don't think practice on your own is 100% healthy as well, so I definitely recommend that. But meditation is such a fundamentally profound skill that you're going to build everything on top on, it really has changed my life. I'm a big proponent of it. And there are other additional things, breathing practices and things like that. I can get into those down the line. But just sitting for 1 minute a day, just coming home to yourself, just breathing and exhaling and just noticing that breath. And while thoughts are going to keep happening, you can always come back to the breath. It's such a powerful skill. I truly hope you all experience the joy of meditation. Thank you all, guys. Take care.